Hello, everyone. My name is Eric Olszewski, and I'm the founder of Pinecone. If you've ever worked at a company before, you're probably familiar with the first few weeks or months, referred to as onboarding. I became very familiar with this term this past summer during my first job for a large company. My first day was typical for a new employee at a large company. I had a company orientation, filled out legal documentation, got my computer, and so on. Everything was going fine and perfectly. The next day, however, was a different story. My team was busy making a big feature push and didn't have the time to help me set up my work environment. And so they pointed me to some online documentation and told me to figure it out. A week and a half in, with a bunch of unanswered questions and finding that most of the documentation was outdated and a lot of software was incompatible with my device, I ended up leaving the department. The moral of the story here is that first impressions matter. According to studies, 85% of new hires decide whether or not they're going to stay with their new employer within the first 6 months. And up to 20% of staff turnover occurs within the first 45 days. Companies have recognized these numbers and have made various onboarding processes to help reduce this new employee turnover. It starts with things like paper solutions and checklists, making sure your calendar is synced up so that everything is streamlined and smooth. Then we move on to file management systems, such as wikis and SharePoints, so that way the new employee can learn about the roles that they need us performing their job. And to make sure this all goes effectively and is streamlined, we have different collaboration systems, project management systems, we have ticketing systems, so that way different departments can fulfill their roles in an effective manner. The one shortcoming of these is that they don't integrate well with one another, leading to a lot of email having to be generated between them. So this is what a lot of companies here in Austin had to say about these channels of communication and the current systems they had for onboarding new employees. Even though we have these great systems, it seems as though it seems to come down to sending various emails between departments. And if some departments aren't great at responding to emails, then the two great tools that we have might just be worthless, honestly. Especially whenever they're too complex for people in human resources or other departments to set up effectively and use properly. So why have one channel for communication as well as one for managing your projects? Why not just integrate the two, which is exactly what Pinecone does. Pinecone allows you to empower your inbox by automatically storing and identifying important documents, such as emails, attachments, and links, and storing them in one central place on an employee basis, so that way you can easily access them for future use. You can also automate your work according to your rules, so that way whenever you receive certain emails containing various fields, you can set various responses to automatically send based upon what you receive, allowing you to focus on more pertinent tasks. And if you ever have a question and don't know who to ask, send an email to help@yourcompany.com, and Pinecone will automatically forward it to the most appropriate individual in the company to answer your question, allowing you to ask the right person the first time. So how do we do this? Let's go through an example. Lindsay at the Bluth company realizes that her monthly check is missing, and she doesn't know who to talk to about this, so she sends an email to help@thebluthcompany.com. Pinecone identifies certain keywords such as monthly and check, and knows to forward it to Susan in the Human Resources Department, who's been dealing with these issues recently. This issue appears in Susan's inbox, as well as her to-do list in Pinecone, and whenever she receives it, it looks something like this. Here, Susan can take action on this and either accept it, put it on hold and acknowledge it, or decline it and possibly defer it to another employee. And anytime she takes action on one of these jobs, Lindsay can actively see where she is in her workflow, whether she's in to-do, in progress, or completed, and can actively engage with her by sending reminders and comments, so that way nothing's ever lost, and every detail is captured. Another great thing about Pinecone is that it allows you to automate some of your work according to your rules, which is great for Susan because she receives a lot of signed offer letters. And Pinecone will allow her to automatically store these signed offer letters in the company database and pull certain fields such as employee name, start date, and position, and populate preset emails that Susan's made and send those out to IT to ensure that this new employee gets a computer by their start date, to the manager to make sure that the manager and team are ready for this employee, and also to the new employee to help them proceed to the next steps for onboarding. So what is our market size for a product like this? From Forbes, approximately $72 billion is spent on recruiting in the US each year. And with up to 20% of staff turnover occurring within the first 45 days, this leaves Pinecone with a $14 billion opportunity to improve the three main causes of new employee turnover. These are lack of company support, dissatisfaction with management, and poor organizational tools within a company. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. We haven't even factored in possible costs of training, as well as the fact that $37 billion is spent annually to keep unproductive employees in the US and UK. Multiple local Austin companies have recognized the benefits that Pinecone can provide for their company and have signed up for demos in early January when we expect to launch our beta. To sign up your company up for a beta, register at www.pineconehr.com. And if you have any further questions, please email me at eric@pineconehr.com or come to our booth afterwards. We'll be wearing Pinecone shirts. Thank you.